Welcome to PUC Second Year students. Today we shall discuss about the chapter number 2, that is theory of consumer behavior. In theory of consumer behavior, yesterday we have studied about the marginal rate of substitutions and their meaning and their chart with all the meanings, and how the shape of indifference curves in the case of marginal rate of substitutions, or the law of diminishing marginal rate of substitutions. The indifference curve in the case of law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution is converged to the origin, but in case of the indifference curve is the shape of indifference curve, the goods being perfect substitutes. The goods being perfect substitutes, the MRS does not diminish. The MRS does not diminish. It remains the same. It remains the same. Once again, in case of a shape of an indifference curve, the roots being perfect substitutes, the MRS does not diminish. It remains the same. It does not diminish. It remains the same. 1:1, 1:1, 1:1. It does not diminish. It remains the same in the case of an indifference curve. It can be shown with the help of a chart and diagram. For example, let us see the example. The representation of law of diminishing marginal rate of substitutions, MRS. The first column shows A, B, C, D is the combinations of goods substitutes. In this, the consumer is indifferent. He can choose any combinations. There are number of combinations A, B, C, D. The consumer is indifferent. He chooses either coins or notes. The second column shows quantity of 5 rupees notes, 2x. The quantity of 5 rupees notes will be 2x. Means rupees notes 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the same notes. This ratio is same. Sacrificing is 1, 1, 1. Same, it does not diminish, is same. Third column shows quantity of 5 rupees coins. The third column shows quantity of 5 rupees coins. The 5 rupees coins and 5 rupees notes, these coins and rupees are perfectly substitute. Consumer, whether he select or can have 5 rupees coins or 5 rupees notes, he is indifferent in case of 5 rupees notes and 5 rupees coins. The coins is 8, 7, 6, 5, but it sacrifices only 1. But these goods are perfectly substitutes. The ratio is 1:1. 1:1. It does not diminish. So the indifference curve is not convex to the origin. When it convex to the origin in law of diminishing marginal rate of substitutions. In case of shape of curve, when the roots are perfectly substitutes, the MRS does not diminish, it remains same. So the indifference curve will be straight line. The indifference curve will be straight line. IC means indifference curve. Let us see the chart how the consumers is sacrifice for each points and nodes. The consumer is indifferent for all these combinations. The consumer is indifferent for all these combinations as long as 5 rupees nodes and 5 rupees points remains the same. Remains the same for the consumer. It hardly matter whether she gets a 5 rupees notes or 5 rupees points. So these two commodities, points and nodes, are perfectly substitutes for the consumers, and indifference curve defecting, it will be a straight line. It will be a straight line. In the figure, it can be seen that consumer sacrifices the same number of 5 rupees, same number of 5 rupees, and same number of points each time. He has an additional 5 rupee notes. So the indifference curve is straight line. The indifference curve is straight line. The indifference curve for perfect substitutes. This curve shows indifference curve for perfect substitutes. Indifference curve depicting two commodities. Two commodities means nodes and the points. These two commodities, which are perfect substitutes, is straight line. It is straight line. How the indifference curves? In case of the two roots are perfectly substitutes, the MRS does not diminish, it remains the same. So indifference curves will be straight lines. How we can explain? The OX horizontal lines measures the quantity of 5 rupees notes, and where OY vertical lines measures the quantity of 5 rupees points. The curve is the IC curves. IC means the indifference curve. It is downwards or slopes downwards from left to right. It indicates that each the points and nodes are perfectly substitutes. Each time the consumer has to sacrifice only one each. 8 to 7, 7 to 6, 6 to 5, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. But the MRS remains. MRS remains. Means marginal rate of substitution remains 1:1. You see the diagram, see the chart. There is one. If and increase the nodes 1 to 2, the consumer has to sacrifice 1 rupees. 1 points. It is 1 and it is also 1. The ratio of marginal rate of substitution is 1:1. If to increase or perfect substitute for points 2 to 3, the consumer has to sacrifice 7 to 6, 1 rupees, 1 points. The marginal rate of substitution 1:1. 7 to 6 sacrifice, and he add 2 to 3, increase the nodes 1 and sacrifice 1:1. If we increase the nodes 3 to 4, 1 and sacrifice points for consumer is 6 to 5 is 1. The ratio of marginal rate of substitution is 1:1. This is called as the law of diminishing marginality rate, the law of diminishing marginal rate of substitution when the two goods are perfectly substitutes. When the two goods are perfectly substitutes, the marginal rate of substitution does not diminish, it remains the same. So the indifference curve is straight line. It becomes straight lines. This is called the shape of an indifference curve. The shape of an indifference curve. Okay, thank you.